Welcome back to Legends Live, presented by the National Basketball Retired Players Association, the official home of NBA and WNBA legends. On today's episode, we have an NBA champion, a longtime NBA legend, and former NBA coach. He also just happens to be the chairman of the NBRPA, and he'll be chatting it up with our very own Kenny Gattison, and that is Johnny Davis. Johnny Davis is on Legends Live today. If you have any questions for Johnny, go ahead and type them into the comment section and we can ask them on air during today's conversation. But let's welcome to the show, Kenny Gattison and Johnny Davis.
Hello, how's it going? Johnny Davis, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing really, really well, Kenny. It's great to see you, and thank you for inviting me to your show. And I look forward to having a great dialogue with you. And as always, you're looking good, and I see you're practicing safe protocol with the COVID-19 things that are taking place out there. So you look very healthy, and I hope that is true of your family as well.
Well, everybody's doing good. Everybody's feeling good. We're just making sure we're taking precautions and being safe. And, you know, it's something we take very seriously. And, you know, upwards of 140,000 people have lost their lives to this. So I think it's something that everyone is aware of now. And you can see that the stances and the positions that people have taken, they're changing. And so hopefully we'll be able to get this thing rectified. How are you and your family doing up there in the mountains? Like I said, we were talking earlier, I thought it was cooler in the mountains, and you said, no,
it's
really.
Actually hot here. Yes, we live in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it's cooler, but it's still hot. And like everyone, with self-quarantining and only going out for things of necessity. But Kenny, you and I both know how difficult that is for current athletes, former athletes, to sit still and not be active, because we're so accustomed to being in the mix of things that to just sit still and kind of sequester yourself, that's a monumental task for people, for most people who have an athletic background.
Well, and that's one of the things that I looked at this NBA restart and the bubble down in Orlando, and I was like, Lord, give them strength. You got a bunch of millionaires that's been quarantined at home with their wife and kids or whatever, and now they go down to Orlando and they got some freedom. You know, I'm like, these guys are going to be out and about and all over the place, and hopefully they'll stick to the job at hand and stay in the bubble so they can stay safe, and the majority of the players adhere to the rules and get the season started so they can get through it. And you know, the whole mission is to get through this short regular season and get through the playoffs and crown an NBA champion. So hopefully they can get that done.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean, think about it. Playing with no fans, playing, everyone's assembled in the same area. I mean, how different is that? That's like a scrimmage game, conceptually. You think about the times you would go and have a scrimmage against someone else with no fans in the stands. Now, the competitive part of it, I think, will still be there, but
yep.
To not have fans is a completely different experience, you know, obviously.
Well, we know as former players, and you know, you came into the league in 1977, and I came in about 10 years later, actually. And we were still playing. I think my rookie year or into my second year, we were still playing back-to-back games. And right. I haven't seen a schedule of how they're going to do, if there's going to be any back-to-back games. And to you want to be precautious and try to protect the safety of the players, but you also, trust me, the NBA wants to get through this thing as fast as they can go. So I think as they complete rounds and you know, some teams will get swept, some teams will go 5 series, you know, so I think it's going to be a whole different playoff experience than what we're used to. But let's back up to 1977. You coming out of the University of Dayton, you land with the Portland Trailblazers, and you win an NBA championship your rookie season. How out of world was that experience?
That was a very unique experience and one that I'll never forget. And actually, after that year was over, I was sitting there thinking, man, this is terrific. We can just do this every year. You know? We just win the championship every year. Now, actually, Kenny, our second year, we started out even better than the year we won the title. We were 50-10 after 60 games. Wow. And our main guy, Bill Walton, who I think is still one of the best centers I've ever seen perform, and a great teammate along with that, he sustained an injury and did not make it back. He tried to come back for the playoffs. Right. We were playing Seattle, but he sustained another injury and went out for the rest of the playoffs. And we lost to Seattle that year. And as a matter of fact, Seattle went on to win the title that year. And they had a great team as well, with Gus Williams and Dennis Johnson, Freddie Brown, just a bunch of a group of guys who were really good. And so they deserved to win it. But I still think had Bill Walton not have had the injury and we had our whole squad together, I thought that year we would have won it again. So had we won it the second year, I definitely would have thought this is something we're going to do every year. Yeah, but no, reality came in, and I realized just how fortunate I was to be able to be on a team like that. It was a very special team, well coached. The players on the team had a real good chemistry. One of the most unselfish group of guys that I've ever played with, and it was a very unique experience. So when I see what's taking place now with today's teams, when a team wins the championship, their mettle has been tested in a lot of different ways. They got to overcome injuries. They got to overcome internal things. They got to overcome external things. And I think, Kenny, the team that comes out of this year as a champion, it won't just be who had the best team physically. It'll also be which team was able to stay within themselves from a mental perspective, because they're going to be tested in terms of how they perform and how they react to different situations mentally as well as physically. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But, you know, everyone who wins a title, they always say our team can beat any other team. and I say the same thing. Right, our 77 championship team, we can play with anybody. You know, we have a chance to win a title in any generation. Right, right. But the game has changed. You know, when you think about, and I just want to put this in here real quick. When you think about the greats of the game today, the LeBron Jameses, the Kevin Durant's, Kyrie Irving, Stephen Curry, you know, that upper echelon group, when you think about them, before there was a Kevin Durant, there was a George Gervin. Before there was a Stephen Curry, there was a Jerry West. Before LeBron, there was Oscar Robertson. Before Allen Iverson, there was Tiny Archibald. Right. So you think about all these great players of today, but if you rewind it just a little bit, you'll find some really great players who came before them who were exciting in their own time. Now, I'm not one of these old school guys that say, well, the guys today, they're not as good, you know, the game's not physical, this, that, and the other. Listen, they're shooting 3-point shots like it's like they're layups now. Now, we all say, well, why are you running to that 3-point line? Well, they're shooting a very high percentage from there, and it makes sense in today's game. So it's a beautiful basketball game being played today, if you ask me. I enjoy the success of the players, and certainly what each of them have to understand, though, Kenny, and you know this firsthand, at a certain point, the basketball stops for you as a physical participant, and you have to move on to that realm called former player who used to play. And the good news is we have a place for you to land. It's called the NBRPA, the National Basketball Retired Players Association. This is a place for players to come who, and again, the climate's different, but we have something for everyone here. And we have resources for players. A lot of times people don't understand that the transition from playing to non-playing is one of the most difficult things a person can do that's been accustomed to having that platform, that notoriety, that level of respect. And all of a sudden, one day you walk in and it's over. And when it's over, it's really over. And that's where the NBRPA comes in to help those players make that transition, Kenny, to make it smoother, easier, to give them that confidence that if you need to reinvent yourself, we have the resources for that. If you need to just be a better version of yourself, we have the resources for that. If you just need a place to come and have camaraderie and talk about all the things you used to do and what you know, how many, you scored a zillion points and had 9 million rebounds, we get that too. So it's a place for everyone, and I'm really pleased with being a part of it and working with a great board, a great CEO in Scott Rochelle and his team. And I always say that the board that we have assembled, we're first responders for the needs of the NBRPA members.
Yeah, Johnny, you touched on so many great points. And I'm going to go back and touch on each one of them. And really the thing that you talked about, the change in the game from 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, and I did a segment a few weeks back with Dale Ellis, who was arguably one of the best shooters to ever play the game. But Dale only shot 4 3-pointers a game. Many people didn't know that. I didn't know that until I did my research and looked up the stats. The guy averaged 27 points and shot 4 3-pointers a game, whereas Steph Curry averaged 27 points and he shot almost 12 3-pointers a game. And this is the difference. These are the two differences. These are the two differences in the game.
Right.
Those guys don't understand. You can go down and you can be 3 happy all you want to. But on the other end, you're going to have to guard the Iceman, Alex English. You're going to have to guard somebody that's going to kill you 18 feet and in and shoot a higher percentage. And that is a huge difference in the game. They do it 4 feet further out.
Right.
And the analytics stress the 3 ball. But what we know that's true in the playoff, the game gonna slow down. You might be 3 happy, but you're gonna have to play defense. You try guarding Big O. You try guarding these guys in a half court set the way they played the game. You know, it'd be interesting. And another thing,
you're right. Yeah. And it's you watch like the center from Philadelphia, Joel Embiid. And the young man from Denver, Jokic. Yeah. Those are legitimately talented centers that you have to contend with. And they know how to play. And
offense. They know how to play offense.
Yes. Now, when did you ever see a guy their size shooting threes? You know, but they could shoot them. And so I was listening to an NBA coach who said people have problems with larger players shooting threes, but there are some who can do it and do it very well. Dirk Nowitzki, when he played in the NBA, was an example of a 7-footer who shot the ball as well as a smaller guy. So yes, you have to utilize what you have.
Right.
And whatever your talent base is, you know, as a coach, you have to look at it and say, what works best for my team, or what works best for this group right here that we can be a good team. So everyone shouldn't be shooting threes. Right. There's some people out there who shouldn't be, but if you take a team like the Houston Rockets, I watched some of their games and some of their stats. I mean, 40 and 50 threes go up in one contest, and they're hitting quite a few of them. And now they're even going smaller. They got rid of, not got rid of, but traded their center. I can't remember where they traded him to, but now they've even gone smaller. I think they got Covington now, Robert Covington. He's a pretty good player. 6'7", 6'8" center who can shoot threes. So they're all in on the 3-point ball and small ball. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, and you see, and you, like you said, we basketball lifers. They trade Capella. They committed to that. You know, we could spend, we just gonna get away from talking about basketball because we could spend the whole show on that, because we're old school, and
yes,
we understand.
I like to see a blend of some 3-point shooting, some inside post play, some mid-range game. That's the beauty of it to me. And if you look at the way the teams are constructed today and what the emphasis of the game are, a guy like Dr. J would not be considered a primetime player because he didn't have, you know, and you would have lost the beauty and the acrobatic and creative ability of a Dr. J, because you're saying, well, he can't shoot threes, or he didn't shoot threes. Now I happen to think whatever the game was, he could adjust.
He would adapt. Exactly right.
He didn't have to shoot threes. That's why, you know, because that wasn't what that era was about. But I'm one of those who believe that good basketball players can adjust to any style of play, any game, anywhere, anytime. You're
right. And you know, and one thing that you talked about that disrupted your team from winning back-to-back champions was Bill Walton getting injured in your second year and going on to re-injure yourself trying to come back for the playoffs, and the Seattle won that championship. I think this year you always have to worry about injuries, especially players coming back from a work stoppage and a restart. That's something that's unprecedented. They're pushing their bodies. They had a long layoff. But aside from injuries, you got COVID-19 to worry about. You get a star player like Giannis or Kawhi or LeBron have a cough for a day and run a fever the next day. That also could have a very, very big impact on who wins the championship. So we'll see how it plays out in the end. Let's talk about, as you touched on in your talk about what the NBRPA is about and what we're doing. And, you know, as a longtime member, yourself a longtime member, and, you know, myself working as VP of membership in the last going on 4 years now, and you coming on board as a board member and now the chairman of the board, you know, I want to commend you and your efforts and your team on being so proactive and so engaged in what the needs of the membership can be. And one of the things, and a lot of people don't know this because all they see is the end result. But for all of our viewers and listeners that are watching, you know, it was Johnny Davis that spearheaded, let's get a COVID mask out to every member. And I can't tell you, you know, as a VP of membership, I'm the first line of communications with almost 1,000 active members. And I can't tell you how many emails I got just saying thank you and what a wonderful job. I'm sure you got some, but my inbox is flooded most days. But on this, you know, the members are so appreciative of what you and the rest of the board members are doing to stay engaged in this time of crisis. And, you know, one of the big things that the NBRPA does for its membership, you know, we started this conversation, Johnny, when this thing hit. We're going to have members, you know, even though the average age of our association is coming down, we're getting younger. You know, we've gone from almost 61 years of average age to 54. So we're getting younger. But one of the first conversations you had was, how can we help these members? People are going to be laid off. People are going to be furloughed. And as a chairman on a board, they sometimes lose fact of how things get done. And so while we are here having this personal conversation about exactly what the NBRPA does for its memberships, and like you said, it is a terrific landing spot. And one thing that active players need to understand, you too will be retired one day.
That's right.
Like the old man used to tell me growing up, just keep on living. You too
That's
be
right.
retired. Talk
right.
about the impact that you know that our member grant program has had throughout the last few months, because that member grant program, we upped it a couple years ago from $1,000 to $2,500. Talk a little bit about, in your seat as a chairman, when this COVID-19 hit and you saw what was going to happen throughout our membership that's scattered across the country. Talk about some of the things in your thought processes that made you become proactive and get out in front of this thing and try to put in these things to help our members as best we can to handle this COVID-19.
Right. Well, I really have to give a lot of credit to Scott Rochelle and his team, as well as the finance team. And we all came together and realized that the impact of the coronavirus was going to touch our members at some point. How many, who could say, but we wanted to be in front of it and to be prepared as best we could to help those members who were in need of some financial assistance. So we started to really keep the lines of communication open with our members. And we have a very athletes and former athletes have a tremendous amount of pride, Kenny. They don't want to sometimes say, "Hey, I need some help," because we're so prideful. That's how we got to be professional athletes. Is ego, is pride, is having that resiliency. I can handle anything. I'm bulletproof. I'm Teflon, things roll. But no, the reality of it is there are at times people who need assistance, and we prepared for that as best we could. So we make the process easier so that they could access the funds. They write in, they tell us what they're going through. We process their application and we make a decision. most people who apply do get the assistance that we can provide. There's some instances where it doesn't fit what we're trying to do in terms of the application process, but that's really minimal. We're here for the players. We're trying to give the players the resources that they need to sustain their lives, or to get the help they need, whatever their particular situation might be. And we take that very seriously, because that's what we're here for. We're not here to just have a good time and talk about the good old days. We're here to be efficient and productive and resourceful, and provide all of the things at our disposal to the players to help them with whatever it is they may be going through or experiencing.
Well, and for the listeners and the viewers that's listening to this podcast, there was an article today that was put out by NBA.com that spoke to just how active the NBA RPA has been nationally with our members in the conversation, in the dialogue of the COVID crisis and what we've been doing. So what we've been doing as an organization from top to bottom hasn't gone unnoticed, because our members have been so active in their local communities, our chapters throughout the country. We got chapters in 12 cities, and they've been engaged and getting out and being visible and holding food basket giveaways and doing things just to engage in the community. So, kudos to the board, all of the committees involved, our team, Scott Rochelle, Aaron Miller, Bridget Gannon, Cam Ballard, Michelle Falconet, Layla, everybody. We look at this thing, and it gives us gratification that we're doing and handling this thing the right way. Now let's flip over to a movement that's taking this country like a tsunami. It's when it happens in your local community, it's just an incident. When it happens in your region, oh, it was just an episode. But the Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. But as a people, Black people, African Americans, people of color, we have been programmed to accept this social injustice, this inequality, and and now the country as a whole is saying we've had enough of this. Talk a little bit about your life's experiences, because you've seen a whole lot. You've been around.
I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
Well, there you go. That says it all.
And I remember when I was a young man coming up, the riots of 1967. I was about 10, 11 years old at that point. And I remember the federal troops coming down the main street. I could see them from my window, the fires, the noise, the chaos, all of that. I do remember. But what stands out for me with this particular movement is that it's really the young people driving it. I think that people realize that equality and justice, you can't be silent about that anymore. And the fact that we're now being heard for those types of things, I attribute to a couple of things. One, before we would make these complaints about different things, and it was just us saying it. Now, with the advent of smartphones, you're taping it, you're recording it, and you're showing it. And so the proof is there that these things are taking place in our community in an inordinate amount of times. And I think it's I think that our generation, if you will, we weren't loud enough about it. We didn't resist it enough, and most people were just trying to get by, you know. But I think this new generation of young people, they're saying no, enough is enough, and we're going to go to the streets. And anytime you have protests and you're advocating for change, it's not a change that we're talking about in terms of having an advantage position. We're saying let's just make this floor level and equal. That we want an opportunity to have and to do just like anyone else. We're not saying give us anything. We're saying don't prevent us from getting things ourselves. And I think that's the key thing. I hope that the emphasis of this movement is not lost because it's ongoing. And I've seen a lot of times over the years, Kenny, where there would be a push for a certain thing, and then pretty soon it dissolves and we're right back where we started. So I hope that's not the case this time, that as long as it's done in a healthy way where you're not putting people at harm and doing things that are counterproductive to what the message really is and what we're really trying to do, then I hope this is really a pivotal point where you can move it forward now and real change begins to take place.
Well, I think that the most meaningful thing that you touched on right from the start was the difference is it's the young people. And we all know our country isn't perfect. We've been, you know, as Black folk, we say, we've been looking up out the hole for a long time. Yeah. But it's getting better. It's not as bad as it used to be. It's nowhere where it needs to be, but it's getting better. And like you said, it's the young people that are starting that movement. And a whole lot of this, you can trace it all the way back. This is a direct response to how important integration was, because back in the 40s and the 50s, even after they passed integration, what people didn't understand about different races, different cultures, because they kept them separated. Black folks, they love their kids just as much as the white folks do. The Hispanic, they love their kids just as much. And through integration throughout the last 45 years, the young people have gone to high school with Black and Hispanic and Asian. They've gone to college with them. So when they have those, people aren't born to hate, they're taught to hate. So now you can't teach someone to hate someone because of the color of their skin, because that bird don't fly no more. They've been in class, they've been, so, you know, like you said, this, I don't think this is going to be a start and stop. As you said, it's like, you know, we as a people have been pushing for social justice and equalities, and just don't do us no favors, just give us a chance, you know. And
that's what we've been saying all along.
Yeah, we've never asked for a handout. Just give us a level playing field. Right. And you know, I'd be remiss if I wouldn't bring up John Lewis, who's just been an icon in this country and in the civil rights movement, you know, all the way back through, you know, marching with Dr. King. So, you know, we as a people, we as a country owe him a great debt of gratitude.
He was one of our most brilliant warriors, one of our most courageous people on the front line every time. And the thing about John Lewis and also Reverend C.T. Vivian is that with each battle, their resolve became tougher. You know, they put themselves in harm's way to affect change for those coming behind them.
Exactly.
And so when you think about what they meant to the civil rights movement and what they meant to Black Americans and what they meant to looking at injustice and going toe to toe with it, I think you have to admire what they accomplished and the blueprint that they left behind for us to follow. And I often say that, you know, for those who sometimes maybe get a little bit tired of the fight for equality and justice, well, that pull or that push you feel to get you moving again, that's John Lewis and Reverend C.T. Vivian getting you up and saying, you couldn't possibly be tired. You're just getting started.
There you go. There you go. Bridget, let's kind of bring you into this to see if we have any questions that's come in for Johnny or myself.
We do. So this is a question from Facebook, Johnny, and the viewer would like to know which moment besides the ring is your favorite moment from your NBA career?
My favorite, well, I've got a lot of favorite moments. And I think I would say that the year that we won the championship, there was a scrum underneath the basket. We were up by 2, and the Philadelphia 76ers were, they had the ball. And they actually had 3 cracks at making a basket. They missed all 3, but here's how the sequence went. World Free took a shot, missed it. Now this was all with 6 seconds to go. He missed it. The ball got knocked out of bounds. 76ers ball under the basket. They inbound the ball again, and George McGinnis takes a shot. Now there's about 2 seconds or so on the shot clock, game clock winding down. And so the ball, it hits the rim. You know how it hits the rim, hits the backboard, and it's up in the air. And it seemed like that ball hung there forever. And all I can remember thinking was, we got to get this ball, because if we don't get this one, it could be Philadelphia get it, score, because anything could happen, a tap in, a foul, or anything. So I'm sort of like around the free throw line, and I see the shot go up, and I see all these bodies go up for this most critical possession. George McGinnis up, Caldwell Jones up, Maurice Lucas, Bill Walton, Bobby Grove, all of them up at the same time going for this key rebound, right? Anyway, out of this group of hands, I see this one hand going above all other hands. And that was a familiar hand to me. It was the hand of Bill Walton. And he pushes the ball out towards the free throw line. And I secured the loose ball, and I was on my way down the court. The horn goes off. We win the title. It was like like 12,666 people at that arena. It seemed like they were all on the court at the same time. It was just unbelievable. I see Bill's jersey going 30, 40 feet in the air, people screaming and yelling. And we get the next day, I say to Bill, I said, Bill, I said, that tap out. I said, did you know I was out there? And he said, of course I did. I knew where everyone was. so it just showed you, to me, the even amongst the most chaotic time, at that key moment, the guy who won more than anyone else and who knew about winning from his UCLA days and just being a winner his whole life, 88 straight games in his college career they won at one time. he's the guy that made the key play for us to win that championship. So that was a key moment for me, one I'll never forget.
Well, that just goes to show you, you look at an entire game, you look at the stat sheet after the game, and the one play that meant the most, it don't show up on any stat sheet. So
no.
That's a good story right there, Johnny. That's something that only somebody that would have been in that moment could share that story.
Yeah.
Johnny, we have another question from a familiar viewer. Our good friend Cam Ballard has a question for you regarding the current situation in the NBA. So, Cameron, know if the season was over right now, who are your picks for the NBA awards from the first half of this season? So, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and the Sixth Man.
Okay, MVP. I'm going to split that down the line with LeBron and Giannis. I think they're both deserving. That's kind of a bailout answer, but I think they have had co-MVPs before, haven't they? That wouldn't be a novel thing. I remember a few years ago, or many years ago now, they had a co-MVP. So give it to both of them, split it. Rookie of the Year, Morant from Memphis, Ja Morant. Defensive Player of the Year, Anthony Davis. Sixth Man, Lou Williams. That would be how I would pick it up. And if you really press me on the MVP part, I would give it to Giannis. I mean, he's carrying more of that team than I think LeBron is. LeBron's got, obviously, he's got, Anthony Davis, who's a phenomenal and amazing talent, and others who are really talented players. And that's not to say, I mean, Chris Middleton's a wonderful player, Eric Bledsoe with the Milwaukee Bucks, but Giannis has to be great every night for them to win. LeBron can have an off night here or there, and Davis can pick the slack up, but if Giannis is not, you saw that in the playoffs last year when Giannis got bottled up, it was over. Milwaukee couldn't go any further.
Yeah, I agree with that, because Giannis is doing more. Giannis is doing more with less.
Huh?
Giannis is doing more with less.
Yes. Yep. We don't want to call him the lesser, but Well,
it is what it is. Anthony Davis is in the middle of a Hall of Fame career.
Anthony Davis is arguably the most talented player in the league right now, and he is special. But LeBron is around winning, it seems, every year. So you can't discount those things, but he's got a little bit more to work with than Giannis does.
Well, I think, and you give that insight of a former player and a former coach, and what you're saying. If you take LeBron out of the equation and you look at what AD does for the Lakers, you look at what Giannis does for the Bucks, those teams are even.
Right.
But you can't take anybody off of the Bucks team.
Right.
And now you insert LeBron back into the Lakers scenario. I wish the Bucks all the best, but you don't have a first ballot Hall of Famer, and unless he suffers some injuries going down, the Lakers are basically going to have two first ballot Hall of Famers, where Giannis is carrying a team that is pretty good, but they could use an extra piece. And I think he will add over the years. Yeah.
Chris Middleton is a fine young player. I mean, he's a good player, but you wouldn't put him in the superstar category. Anthony Davis, you would.
Well, LeBron, exactly.
But Bledsoe, you wouldn't.
No.
Good players, but they're not great players. They're not difference makers. I liken it to this, Kenny. when we won the title, to refer back to '77, Bill Walton and Maurice Lucas, they were the thunder of the team, and the rest of us were the lightning. They came with the and then we would just kind of like hit you here and there, and we made it work. Giannis is carrying the whole thing over there in Milwaukee. Chris Middleton's helping some, but wow, if Giannis doesn't play up to par, Chris Middleton can't carry it. But
and
LeBron isn't playing up to par. Anthony Davis can carry it. That's the difference.
See, and this is where fans really don't understand the impact of teams in big markets. What the Milwaukee Bucks need is a certified Tier A free agent. But because they're playing in cold, snowy Milwaukee, small market Milwaukee, just like Anthony Davis went to the Lakers, just like Kawhi Leonard is in LA with the Clippers, the big market teams are the ones that you even though the Knicks are down right now, they're going to build that thing through a couple draft picks and through a couple huge free agents, because at the end of the day, they still the New York Knicks. So,
and you would like to see the Knicks come back because they are one of the flagship franchises.
They will.
And Madison Square Garden is still a very special place to play, and the fans in New York are some of the most knowledgeable fans around. In that market, you need it to be strong, but people still talking today about the championship, the New York Knicks championship teams with Walt Clyde Frazier and Willis Reed and Earl of Pearl Monroe and David Busher,
they still talking today because they don't have nothing else to talk about. All right, well, Bridget, appreciate you hosting us again, Johnny Davis. Thank you so much, my friend. Always a pleasure to meet with you virtually or in person.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me, and stay safe. And I'm sure I'll be running into you down the road someplace. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bridget.
You're welcome. Take care, Johnny. Thanks for joining us on Legends Live.
Bye now.
Okay, coming up on the next Legends Live next week, Tuesday, right here, same place, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch via @NBA Alumni. 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Brusha Brown will be back with another one of her WNBA legends. And if you would like to catch any of the previously recorded episodes, including today's conversation between NBRPA Chairman Johnny Davis and Kenny Gattison, you can go to legendsofbasketball.com/legendslive. And until Tuesday, thank you all again for watching and spending time with us today. Take care of each other and be well.